Ooh, I got the power. Hey, hey,
All
hey.
right, let's start this over again.
Grand Rising, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us this morning. At 9 o'clock a.m., we will close our social media and continue on Zoom only. Join us by getting your Zoom link at elizabethvisionaryconference.org. We'll be there until 10 a.m. You can join us now, and we'll see you in Elizabeth's Zoom room. Today, your hosts are at Peace Makita and Danyelle Claxton. Enjoy.
Good rising.
Grand Rising.
Grand
Very
rising,
Another
Elizabeth.
Monday.
How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing well today?
Doing well.
Doing well. All right now. How did everyone's weekend turn out with the festival and everything? Y'all enjoyed yourselves?
It was great.
Yay.
I had a good
I
time.
had a good time. Well, hey Danyelle, there she is, Blooming Lotus Wellness. Hello, Blooming Lotus Wellness.
Hello.
How are you this morning?
I am great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm magnificently fantastical, as my girl would say. My best friend would say. And we have Mr. Thomas is in the building. Wave. Hey, Mr. Thomas. As he's setting up. And we got Mama Evelyn here, Queen Aduni, Star, and Miss Danny Stillwell is in the building. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, well, we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone, to Mommy Mogul Mindset. If you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome. We are continuing our conversation with womb trauma and how to heal it. And I think we are in great company today, considering everyone that is joined here on the Zoom, at least. I mean, it's going to be a very great, I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation. So I'm ready to get into it. So if you are new to Mommy Mogul Mindset, here we talk all about what it means to be a mom and what you're nurturing. It could be a family, it could be a business, it could be an idea, or maybe you're nurturing a new lifestyle. Right here is where you want to come to get that extra support. We also are all about moguling over here. Yes, if you don't know what moguling is, I'll tell you. Moguling is getting your coin together. Yes, getting that bag together, your business. Where are you going in technology? Where are you going in your finances? All of that is discussed here on this podcast, as well as mindset. Yes, I would be remiss as a meditation coach not to discuss mindset. You have to get it in as far as where you're going. You want to make sure that your mind, your thoughts are supporting you every step of the way, because your thoughts are the seeds, right? They help you to get there. So we all talk about mindset over here as well. And we want to make sure that we are whole and we are complete in everything that we do. And that's what I love about Mommy Mogul Mindset. I have a beautiful co-host that I'd like to introduce, Miss Danyelle Claxton. Y'all give it up for Danyelle. She is an awesome entrepreneur and owner of Blooming Lotus Wellness. Also a tech head, a techie, my tech guru. And that is something that she offers to us here on this podcast. She offers us all the tech savvy stuff. And we've been getting into more of the Blooming Lotus stuff as well, right? So we've been talking more about the womb and how to heal it and being and doing it in a holistic way. So Danyelle is wonderful at giving into the conversation. So Danyelle, say good morning to the people this morning. Say good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
Good morning.
No, what was in your smoothie this morning, or did you make your smoothie yet?
I didn't make my smoothie yet.
What's gonna be
my
in
coffee this morning. Today's one of those busy days. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out if I have a smoothie, it'll probably be later on. I hear we're in for a nice heat wave this week, so I'm like, okay, I might have it later on because it's so busy. But what is it? I'm drinking my coffee this morning. That's
okay. It is Monday. Got to get it in the best way you can.
Right.
Yes. All right. Well, we are going to get all into it today. Like I said, for July, our theme has been womb trauma. and how to heal it. So we have been having some really in-depth discussions, ladies and gentlemen, on this topic. If you missed this, the episode last week, make sure that you watch the replay, honey, so you can catch up, honey. We went all up and down, up and like Sheila said, we went all, Aduni, we went all up and through that thing. We went all up, down, and through that thing. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We talked about the original story of how most of us as women in the Western world learned about our femininity was through one of the three main religions, one being Christianity, right? Judaism and Islam. We didn't go off into the creation story in Islam, but we will tap off into it, I'm sure, because Prostell, that's his background, so maybe he can elaborate on that for us. But we went over videos that discussed in detail these different creation stories. And we were able to really compare it to what our reality is as a woman and really see that maybe some of the psychosis was planted in us at a very young age, as far as what we should be thinking and what we should not be thinking about who we are. Women, primarily this idea that women is the fall of man, right? And that somehow if Eve hadn't eaten of the fruit, or if Lilith had not denied Adam, then, you know, none of this would have been happening. You know, it's because of their disobedience that this took place. So we had a very in-depth conversation about it. And today we're going to talk about, now that we've talked about the womb, we talked about that in the first week. We talked about trauma and what they are. Last week, we talked about womb trauma and the root of it. And today we're going to just have a more elaborate conversation about personal experience, what it's like in present day to experience womb trauma, and some of the steps. Yes, we're going to talk about some of the steps that we can heal it, but more from a male and female perspective today. So I invited a very special guest on here, Mr. Prostell Thomas, who will be joining us after our meditation session. But I brought Prostell on here because he's been on here before. He had a very great reception. Ladies, you seem to like him from the last time that he was here. So definitely thought that it would be okay to bring him back with the male perspective, because he has many experiences when it comes to interacting with women, right? As well as being a father of 11 beautiful children. I mean, I think he has a broad perspective as far as trauma and how to heal it, especially coming from a man's perspective. So I can't wait to hear what he has to share. Prostell, good morning. I want to give you a chance to say good morning. Take yourself off mute.
I'm sorry. Good morning. It's an honor to be back. So, I appreciate you. Yeah. The introduction is always a little like, really? Wow, that is me, huh? But yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm excited to be here.
All right, cool beans. Thank you. All right, so without any further ado, we are going to jump right into our mindfulness exercise for today. And today I'm going to take you on a different kind of journey. We're not just going to sit and ground ourselves. We're going to engage our imagination. We're going to gauge our senses a little bit. All right. So sit comfortably wherever you are. You make sure that if you're sitting in a chair, that your feet are flat on the floor, that your shoulders are dropped back, and that you are in a relaxed and comfortable position. All right. And as always, just feel what it feels like to be you for a moment. Just feel what it feels like to breathe normally and to sit on whatever surface you're sitting on. What does that feel like? Take mental note of that. And as you're sitting, I want you to, we're going to manipulate the breath just a little bit. We're going to inhale through our nose. Then we're going to gently exhale out of our mouths. Inhaling and exhaling. And with this breathing pattern, what we want to do is we want to signal to our mind that we are stepping into a different dimension, a different realm. So when we take that inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth, we are signaling to the mind, okay, settle down. It's time to move into a different space. So any tension that you might feel, you want to just release it with your exhale. And be gentle with yourself. the best sounds around you to meditate are the sounds that are naturally around you. So let's spend some time tapping into the sounds that are already around us. So as you inhale through your nose, gently exhale out your mouth. See yourself kind of like a tree. The sounds around you are just that, they're just sounds. So as you sit with your conscious mind in your chair, focused, eyes closed, breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Allow your subconscious mind to wander a little bit. And just listen to the sounds around you without giving your attention away to them. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, as you exhale, feel your body sink into the chair. And feel the chair as you inhale and exhale sink into the floor. Now feel the floor sink into the earth. Now feel your energy travel its way to the core of the earth. And feel your energy wrap itself around the core of the earth. Inhaling and exhaling as your energy travels. You should feel more relaxed, sleepy even. Feel what it feels like to rest, to give yourself permission to surrender. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling out the mouth. I want you to envision your refrigerator. Envision your refrigerator and just look at it for a moment. And as you look at your refrigerator, I want you to walk towards it. And as you walk towards it, whatever side the handle is on, I want you to pull the handle. Inhaling and exhaling. As you open the refrigerator, you see a bowl of lemons. Take one of the lemons from the top of the bowl and close the door. And as you bring the lemon over to the counter, you pull out the sharpest knife in your kitchen. The lemon is so cold in your fingers and it looks so juicy and it smells so good. I want you to slowly and gently see yourself slicing the lemon down the middle. And as you do this, the juice spurts in your face. Now take a half of that lemon and just bring it up close to your nose and inhale and exhale. And when you are ready, I want you to lean your head back slightly. Open your mouth and squeeze the lemon juice in your mouth. Squeeze it in your mouth. and just taste that lemon in the back of your throat. What does that feel like? As you gently and slowly open your eyes, gently and slowly open your eyes. Where's the lemon? Anybody taste the lemon? Raise your hand if you tasted it. You don't have to tell. You don't have to. You don't have to say you tasted it if you didn't taste it. Who tasted the lemon? You tasted the lemon? Mama Evelyn was there because she leaned her head back. So you were there, Mama. I saw you. You leaned your head back. Where's the lemon? No lemon, eh? That's a little mindfulness exercise that I like to share because it shows us how our minds really work. Our mind doesn't know if you can smell it too.
Mhm.
Anytime I cut it, I can feel the cold juice squirt in my face. Yeah. And so our mind is just that powerful. Whether you tell yourself you can do something or you can't do something, you're absolutely right. Your mind doesn't know the difference. So when we feel into something and we visualize it and we're feeling into it, we actually have created it on some dimension, right? And so it's just a matter of bringing it into ourselves. And so I just wanted to exercise the brain on a Monday morning, you know, especially since everybody just woke up, maybe not do such of the relaxing meditations. No, let's do some mindfulness exercises, shall we? So I hope you like that and give it a try. Like you can try it with pretty much anything, but give it a try. I think you'll like it. You'll like next week's mindfulness exercise too. So what did you think about it, my queen Aduni?
The exercise?
Yeah, what was your experience?
Yeah, that was cool. I had the lemon popped around my mouth, so I got it off. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you did a visualization, exercise.
Good. Yeah. Get that brain working. What you thought, Mama Evelyn?
Yeah,
Thank you.
that helped to focus. It helped to focus. I've been, I got my lemon ginger tea here.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna buy some lemons today to make some more for the rest of the week. So that was a good visualization.
Mhm.
Very good, very good. There they are. Hey, ladies. Good rising. How we feeling this morning? Unmute yourself. Bring yourself back on camera so you can see that pretty smile. There she go. Okay, wait, come back. There she go. Hey, lady.
Peace, sisters, girls, grand rising. My Zoom dropped off my computer.
Oh no.
So I was hunting for it.
Well, you found us. We're here.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I gotta get ready.
All right. Well, welcome, ladies. Welcome. We are now ready we just finished our mindfulness exercise, Mama. Okay. So now we're about to step into today's theme. Today's theme is womb trauma and how to heal it. We have a very special guest. I don't know if you were there when Prostell came for the two women from men themed episode, yeah. But he's here again today to share his male perspective on womb trauma and this conversation on how to heal it. So without any further ado, let's jump right on into the conversation. Ladies, please welcome Prostell Thomas to the platform, to the stage.
Peace. Peace. Hi, everybody.
Peace.
I feel really, we're talking about womb trauma, and I think I'm the only person on the line without a womb. So I feel like honored to be here. I feel honored to be included in this conversation. You know what I'm saying? In an ideal world, the road to childbirth is a group effort. Um, so, however, I understand my place in it because again, that's not coming through my body. My body's not going through the changes that my partners or, a woman's body's going through. So I feel especially honored to be included in this conversation.
So when we talked about what is a womb on the first week, we did decide that men have wombs too.
I mean,
Look, we decided. We had a discussion about that because since everyone starts female, right?
Yeah.
They start female in the womb until about 4 months of gestation, and then the change happens, right? And the ovaries drop down into testes, and men still have breast and milk ducts in their breasts, right? Their nipples.
Right.
If they
Right.
had milk in there, could produce some milk. So is it
Right.
safe to say that men have wombs too?
I will say I think that's a really, I'm not going to disagree with y'all. I will say that as a man who has continued to evolve and like what that means to be a man, particularly like in my relationship to the family and the woman, we're extremely, I say, behind the curve when it comes to understanding how to operate in our feminine energy as men. In other words, since we understand we all come with 360 degrees, we come with everything. And, because there's certain societal things that we get trapped in and cultural things we get trapped in, certain parts of us we don't really develop. And, that probably speaks to the uncomfortability that maybe I or just, men feel about connecting with this part of our experience. About like femininity in us as people, but also just relating to the femininity that exists in our community. Like we have a hard time with that. Which is, I don't know, that might be another show, just, but I feel like it's kind of at the root of a lot of the relationship, not even romantic relationships, but just understanding how we operate in community together. And how do I exist in this space and show up for my sisters and my mothers and my daughters, and but still show up for myself and, show up for my whole self, not the self that I've been told that I'm supposed to be. I think that's we can talk about that forever.
Okay, I have 2 questions to that. My first one is, so when you hear womb trauma, what's the first thing that, I don't want to say the average man, because that's not really what it is, but men in general, what do you think they hear when they hear womb trauma? Or if a woman says, I'm dealing with some womb issues, or what's the first reaction that you feel like men come with?
I mean, it probably depends on the man, but if like for me, I when I hear womb, obviously that's a nature, right? That's a part of nature. That's something that comes with, with being a human being, particularly with being a woman. And then you speak about trauma. Trauma usually is a result of us operating outside of our nature. So like, just it's particularly childbirth, right? Like as we are being brought into this world, we're already doing it. I've had, like you said, I've had 11 children. We've tried to do as close to natural birth as my co-parents have been willing to do at each birth. But I say that to say I've always been keenly aware of the disconnect from nature, from how children are brought in. It's an industry, it's a business when you speak about mainstream America. And then the fight to do it in a natural way, it's actually a fight. Like it's an actual, like, it's revolution. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta fight with, your medical, you gotta have the right people around you. You have to have the right environment. You have to access to the resources, you know what I'm saying? Like there's even just culturally, a lot of these natural modalities that are available, we get looked at a little bit funny when we show up. So almost like, what are y'all not supposed to be? Y'all supposed to be having y'all baby over there. Mm-hmm. But that's the first thing that comes to mind. Obviously.
Come back. Oh no, he's connecting. I'm glad he brought up that point. I wasn't gonna go in this direction right off, but since we're here, we might as well go in that direction of womb trauma and childbirth. and what that really means to not just the child, but to the mother as well, and what's being left for her, you know, because I don't know if you all are aware, but Black women are 3 times more likely to die giving childbirth here in this country, which is like, those are statistics of a third world country. Like, why is that even happening? And Detroit is even higher in the country than anywhere else, where women are actually dying. Their babies are dying, you know, within 24 hours of being born. No one's talking about this. No one's having these conversations. Not having the education, not really knowing the proper way to give birth. And like I said, during a meeting for National Black Breastfeeding Week, which is coming up in August, men need to be there at the hospital when a woman is giving birth. Even if y'all don't belong, even if, you know, because she needs to be protected. There was a video I was gonna do this last week about an esthetician who was pretty much, you saw it, Evelyn.
Yeah, no, I saw what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That right there really disturbed my spirit. If, for those who don't know, there was an esthetician who was caught on camera raping a woman who was getting a C-section. He pulled out his penis and was putting it in her mouth while she was getting a C-section. And apparently he had done it numerous times. So women need to be protected when they go to the hospital to have babies. It's super important. Danyelle, go ahead.
Okay, let me say something, because I'm a doula as well. And one of the jobs of being a doula is not just being a support system for the mother and the father, but it's also being an advocate for these newly parents in the hospital. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize that you have rights.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that with my clients, we go in with a birthing plan. We go in exactly with what we want. You don't have, if you don't want, medical students coming in and you being read like you're a case and everything like that, you can let them know, I don't want to be a case study. Mm-hmm. I only want my doctor here. I only want the nurse in here. You can go in and demanding things, because the truth of the matter is that insurance money follows wherever you go. So if you are not treated right at the hospital that you at, you can pack your bags and go somewhere else, and that insurance money will go over there. Mm-hmm. So they will for sure give you the service that you want. If you say something, they will for sure make sure that you have everything that you need, because they want that insurance money to come to them. Because if you pick up and leave, it follows wherever you go. Mm-hmm. A lot of Black people don't realize they have that right. A lot of people don't realize that you do not necessarily have to listen to everything that the doctor or the nurses say. Because as a doula, I had a nurse, a newly graduated nurse, tell me, you know, I can't turn the lights off in my client's room. I can't diffuse the essential oils and everything. And I politely told her, who's your supervisor? Let me talk to her. Her supervisor was somebody that was birthing babies for the last 40 years. And she's like, I like everything that you do. So we can't be afraid of, just because these people, some of these people just got fresh out of school. They don't have the experience and know nothing except for what came in the book. And it's like, we have to be able to speak up for ourselves. We have to be able to say, especially women being in pain, because the biggest issue with birth trauma in the hospital is the fact that they believe that for whatever reason, let's go back to slave time, as if Black women don't experience pain. Mm-hmm. Like if we say we're hurting, we're just magically, you know, faking it or trying to get attention, and they don't pay attention to the discomfort that we're in. And so we suffer a lot more. And some people act like they don't want to speak up and say anything. And it's like, you know, it happened to, Venus Williams, when she said, I'm not feeling right. After having her baby, she's like, I'm not feeling right. And they kept pounding and kept pounding and kept pounding until somebody paid attention and realized she had a blood clot. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, we just can't sit there and think that these doctors and nurses are the almighty, because they're not. Remember, they have a license to practice medicine. They have a license to practice medicine. So it does not mean that they know everything, and you have to speak up and say, like, something don't feel good, something don't feel right. If it's somebody that looks like they're fresh faced, like they just came out of somebody's vagina, you need to find somebody that's been there a little bit more experienced. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody that's been there and keep voicing your concerns until somebody pays attention. Don't just sit there and just act like, oh, well, everything is okay. Because like I said, I voice my concerns with my client. I let them know exactly what they want and what they don't want. And like I said, if nobody don't say it, I've noticed each and every case when I do this, that's medical staff, they pay attention. They pay attention because like I said, they don't want you to pick up and go across the street somewhere else because they know they're not going to get that money.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say that.
There's one thing that you said that stuck out to me, and that is when women are in pain, when Black women are in pain, they're not taken seriously, and that's one of the number one reasons why women are dying at such an alarming rate. When they say they're in pain, they're rarely believed. They're given the minimal to take them out of their pain. It's like they're expected to be uncomfortable. And when you talk about womb issues, especially, we have been taught to kind of like suppress it, or that's just the way it is. That's just how we were raised. That's just what we do as women. So really think about that in your own lives when it comes to what contributed to whatever trauma you may have had. What were some of the things that you were taught about your pain? Like, are you supposed to be in pain? How do you deal with your pain? And Prostell, I want to ask that of you as well. As a man, how did you know? I mean, you're a man. I call you a man of wisdom because you have learned a lot from the experiences that you've been through. So this is why I pick your brain the way that I do. Why? What are some of the things in hindsight now that as a man you notice may have been red flags or signals that your partner or your mate was distressed in that way or traumatized in that way?
I think so I've had like you said, I've had 11 children. My first childbirth was in 1999. My oldest son is now my oldest beautiful son is now 22. He's in Boston. He's big and healthy. That was in 1999. My last final childbirth was the triplets in 2019. And I that's 20 years. And I say that way because who I was at the beginning of this journey is not, who I eventually grow to be. And to be honest, the industry, the childbirth industry has evolved. What I can say, if nobody takes anything else away from this, get you a doula.
Yeah.
Get you a doula. Get you a midwife if you're willing to, try to foray, even if you want to have the baby in the hospital. But more than anything else, have you a plan? I know that when my first son was born, I remember the doctor. I didn't even meet the doctor until the moment that my son was coming into this world. And I remember my wife on the table and she's screaming in pain, and I'm all of 21 years old and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, and I know I don't know what to do. So the doctor comes in and my son is crowning, and the doctor starts to, in my opinion, even now, starts to pull on his head kind of roughly. But in this moment, 21-year-old me looking, and I know I don't know what to do. So ultimately, I feel like a lot of families feel, I feel like I'm at their mercy, because if these people don't help me, so I kind of got to sit there and watch this man be, when again, in my opinion, over aggressive. He walked in the room, walked straight in between my wife's legs and started, in my opinion, yanking my son's head. And I'm like, everything in me wanted to, I wanted to knock him out. But also understood in that moment, I didn't have the experience or the knowledge to, or even know what to say, right? Or felt I had the authority to say. And I feel like a lot of the things Danyelle said come down to authority, understanding that childbirth is treated like an illness in the medical industry, but it's a natural thing that happens in nature, right? And it's happening because you two as parents have created this life. So coming into that space, understanding that you are coming to a space that is not necessarily, let's just say it has its own agenda. And its agenda is not necessarily your child being born in the most peaceful and harmonious way.
Let me say something, Prostell. Let me say something.
Absolutely.
There's a documentary called The Business of Being Born, directed by Ricky Lake. It's treated as a business. A birth in the United States is about $10,000 or more. So that's the agenda that they're on. They're into getting birth. Huh? I thought I heard somebody. They're just to get you birth in and out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But one of the good tools you can use to set up any new father is to watch that one, the business of being born, and it's on Netflix. It's been on Netflix for years.
Yeah.
And I think there's a second one too, the business of being born too. She did a follow-up to that one.
I didn't see the second one.
White people tend to think that they discover new things about midwives and doulas, and it's like, wait a minute, no, we've been doing this long time ago. But
Right.
she brings down the business, the medical industry, and how they process all of that, and like even to the point why C-sections are so high is because the insurance company pays more for a C-section than a vaginal birth. So they're going to push a C-section for everything, even for convenience. Now it's cosmetically convenient to have a C-section, not medically necessary. Oh, doctors usually take their vacations in August. So they try to schedule all their C-sections in July and the beginning of September so they could take the month of August off. That is a real something to look for if you ever have a doctor try to schedule a C-section around August, because they don't want to be here. They want to be on vacation. But I'm going to let you go back, Prostell. I just want to put that out there about the business of being born.
No, that's a great reference. That was a great reference tool for me, because that first experience is stuck with me, and I never, luckily I had more chances at it, but I'll never forget that feeling of helplessness, because as a man, and we talk a lot about like how all of these, because there's patterns in the society we live in, and I believe this is another one of those patterns that plays on that if there's any tension or any discord within a relationship between the co-parents, then the birthing system is really set up to exploit and take advantage of that. So coming into that space, already understand, regardless of what's happening, and y'all, like, ideally, hopefully the co-parents have a beautiful, loving relationship and it's like a romance novel. But if it's not, understanding that, we have collaborated to create life, and we have to come in here on the same page. Otherwise, we're definitely going to be playing to their agenda. And I've been very fortunate that all but one of my births, when we came into the room, they understood we were of one accord. But the one time that they knew it wasn't, it was night and day, and they knew that they were in control, because we weren't of the same thinking. And that having that birthing plan, having that image, that vision of what do you want your birth to look like, and understanding that nothing is off of the table. I have to say, of the many ways that Detroit is on the cutting edge in revolutionary ways, I know we have more doulas and more midwives and more people who are educated and knowledgeable on the subject of childbirth, which is great, because, like you said, the numbers, they show that we're underserved, we're under cared for in this community, and it's how there's not many more things more important than how you come into the world, right? Like, this is how children are starting, they're beginning their lives. So, little things as far as like how long before we cut the umbilical cord, or who's in the room, or who has access to the baby. One of the rules that we have when we go in is y'all can't take the baby out the room. If the baby leave the room, I'm leaving the room with the baby. Mm-hmm. And don't come in this room and take the baby without talking to us.
I think Mama has a question. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question, but I wanted to know. Okay, so I saw a video yesterday, and I've been personally sort of witness to another thing. And when you say it's a business and it's an agenda to to really separate the father from the children, because with my first birth, C-section, and that's when I believed in the doctors and I believed in what they said, and I had a C-section, and I realized now I didn't have to. My daughter did not, but she did go to the hospital, and the baby's daddy was with her, and there was a whole lot of people there, and I was like, what the, but the thing, because I saw the video yesterday, was the nurse didn't like the way the mother didn't like something about the mother breastfeeding. And so somehow the police got called, the father got put in jail, you know, and the police would not leave the room so this woman could breastfeed her child. They wanted, you know, just close the curtain, you know, and I, you know, sometimes that just makes me so angry. And then my neighbor across the street from me, I took video of CPS coming out to the house because with the birth of his triplets, which was at home, there was a little extra blood. And so he decided to go take her to the hospital, make sure she was okay. But he is like an advocate, a warrior. He don't take no shit from no, I mean, he's been in jail several times this year because he's protecting his family. Okay, he don't take no mess. You're not coming up in here trying to tell me what to do with my family. That's the kind of man he is. And I was taking video, and the woman would say, well, you can't videotape me. I said, yes, I can. What are you telling me I can't videotape you? You know, and he would not let them in the house. He would not let them talk to her. And they thinking that she's in some sort of situation. And I was so upset. I said, who are you to tell this man not to fight for his woman, his wife? Who are you? And I saw that, I mean, I would just like to ask policemen and people, who taught you this agenda? Who told, and the nurses who go into, who taught you? Who told you it was gonna be okay for you to call CPS because you didn't like the way the mother was doing something, or the mother wanted her placenta?
That's because we
didn't know.
We as Black people in this country are considered the property of the United States. When you agree to sign off as a Black person and you don't, you know your indigenous rights, and I'm not trying to say be a Moor or be sovereign or anything like that, but just know what the books say that they follow. The books say that they follow is that if you identify yourself as African American or Black, then you are property of the United States government. You are not a person at that point. They can treat you however they want to treat you. That's why all these videos going around about shootings and, they did this to this Black person, and stop calling yourself Black. Stop calling yourself African American. That's a contract that you're making when you do that. And when you do that, they automatically are saying, you are automatically agreeing to their law book that you are not human. So they treat you how they want. You're not human. Most people of color in this country don't know that. So we check off Black on the boxes and all of that. And then the trauma, I want to make sure that we stay on the theme of the womb trauma. If we want to continue, because I like to lace whatever y'all say, I like to thread it together. All of it makes sense. All of it is part of the conversation. So if we thread in what you just brought up, Mama Evelyn, where does the disrespect come from? Where does this idea come from that we can be disrespected and that men of color don't have a right to protect women of color? Like, where did that come from? And you already know, we could go down the rabbit hole a million times. So we looked at the root of it last week, right? With Adam and Eve, Lilith, looking that in comparison to the African creation stories. So the seed thought has already been planted in most of us that the woman is evil, she's bad, she's the fall of man, right? And so how is that translating in modern day? How is that showing up in modern day? Her not being able to birth the way she wants to birth. We've already established that. What are some other ways that it's actually showing up? And what are some ways that we've all found to heal it? Because all of us on some level has experienced some type of trauma to our womb. And our womb is not just where we have babies, right? We talked about that last week too. Our womb is where we create our visions, where we see ourselves, where we cleanse ourselves through our menstrual cycle. When you are going to the hospital because you're having really bad cramps, that is energy that you're carrying around. Mama Bay, she calls it the cauldron, right? You're carrying all this energy around. How are you releasing it beyond your period? What if your period is stopped? What if you have now stepped into the change of life? how are you cleansing and caring for your womb?
Okay.
So don't let just me have the conversation. I'm going to put on my professor cap in a minute and I'm going to start calling on folks, but let's take this as a divine opportunity. And I don't want to put it all on Prostell either, just asking him questions after questions, but I do want us to have a meaningful conversation, if we can, about how are we identifying womb trauma in women, primarily Black women, women of color, and how are we healing it? What are some things that we're doing? Because we never know who's going to watch this video and how we can serve them. So jump on in there. I mean, I'll jump in with my own story if I must. You all know that I have had 6 beautiful children, right? And I've had a C-section. I've had 5 vaginal births after cesarean. But to me, when I think of womb trauma, I automatically think of the spiritual and the emotional trauma that women go through and that we continue to go through and that we continue to pass on to our children to have to go through. And so when we talk about male-female relationships, I can tell you for sure, the way in which I was spoken to as a woman had probably more of a profound effect than anyone putting their hands on me. I never went through any physical trauma like that, thank goodness, other than I have experienced being molested, I have experienced being date raped. Those things are the physical, but as far as someone beating me, slapping me, hitting me, thank goodness, no a trauma like that. But the verbal abuse, the verbal trauma is real, and how it has like really been work in releasing those thoughts and releasing those ideas about myself, being raised to think certain things about myself that just aren't true, from being a woman, from being Black, from being of color, from being dark skinned. I mean, you name it, it just goes on and on and on. So, what is it that some of you maybe would like to share about your traumas as far as how you identify them in yourself? And Prostell, have you identified, like I asked you earlier, have you identified where men maybe contribute in their own way to a woman's trauma, and vice versa? Maybe a woman has traumatized you in some way, and how did you identify that? How did you know that that's what you were doing?
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Take the piece. Just bite off the piece that's for you, honey. Bite off the piece that's for you.
I think that without going off of, I know we automatically kind of defaulted into the birthing thing, and in that we spoke about the idea of having a plan. Well, in essence, having a plan means that you have some sort of agreement, right? For me, the benefit of having a plan meant that I understood my role in this situation, because as a man, we're taught to be very physical beings, right? Like, what are you doing with your body? What are you doing with your time? Are you working? What are you doing physically? But when it comes to childbirth, or protecting the womb, or protecting the woman, all of it's not so much physical. A lot of it is spiritual, a lot of it is mental, a lot of it is emotional, and a lot of it is, as a man, understanding your role in that relationship, which requires, every woman's different. Every woman that I've been in a relationship with, some of the things that they require was the same, but I think ultimately the thing that required was me understanding my role. So even if you use the idea of security, right? Like, we generally think of man or a father or a husband being responsible for security, but again, security means something different than, if I'm walking my woman through downtown, as opposed to we're going through like a life change, or there's some financial instability, or she's going through a career change, or I have 11, there have been 11 that's been born, but there's been some miscarriages in there. So the emotional security of going on that journey, and also because part of it is, you tapping into your own emotions, because sometimes we will, we won't express our emotions because we're supposed to be the strong one, but a lot of times your family needs to see that in you. You know what I'm saying? Your woman, if there's some type of, miscarriage or something of that nature, that is an opportunity to like show vulnerability, not in a way that takes away from anything, but like, it's okay for us to process this experience, and get through the other side of that journey together. So for me, I mean, you know me, I have a lot of different influences. So I just believe it's about communicating with the person you're with and having a plan, a set of agreements as far as how we're going to deal with, because this woman might not need the same type of support that that woman needs over here.
So what is what are the general things that men should keep in mind?
Being present and being, you know, it's so for me, it's been almost like a helpless feeling, right? Because and I know I keep going back to childbirth. I guess I don't know, that's a very dominant theme in my life. But
yeah, 11 babies, I would say so.
I can't, like, you can't do anything. Like, you can't, you know, like if my woman is uncomfortable while she's carrying a baby, you know, I can make sure the AC is working and I can make sure she's fed. But some of those things I can't do anything but be present for. You know what I'm saying? I can try to make, but some things there's some uncomfortability that she's just gonna have to go through. And the only thing I can do is be present and be attentive and be supportive. Um, you know, so I mean, so for me, it's always been about being present and understanding my role in each of those relationships. Because I mean, even within one woman, every childbirth is different.
I think you found the secret sauce, sir. That's the secret sauce in my eyes, is just being present, being available, you know, not trying to fix it all the time, because that can be definitely something that men do that can cause a little bit of, that actually can cause a lot of the drama, is a man trying to fix it for her, you know, rather than being present, being available, and providing the space for her to heal herself, you know. So I appreciate that. You found the secret sauce on that one.
I'm gonna try to keep that in mind. You know, it's a journey, right? It's a journey. So some moments feel like you want to pull your hair out, and other moments you just have to be patient to it and understand that you're working towards something that's gonna be worth that effort. So yeah.
So is there anyone that has any questions or comments? I don't want to.
Mama Heather's hand is up.
Oh, Mama Heather, hit it, girl.
Unmute yourself, babe.
Ooh, this topic. Wow. I remember when 21 years ago, when little Isis was prepping to come, or just even during the pregnancy, that I noticed that the Bible helped take on the weight. I wasn't alone. But we both spread, okay? But a few of the things, he was present with me and for me. I know sometimes I would ask to give him my feet rubbed, and I think it was more therapy for him because he would go to sleep. Anyway, but the trauma. I know some of the things that happened with me. I was able to labor and have the baby here at the house in this very room that I'm sitting in right now.
Lessons.
I had a dream while I was pregnant. I had a reoccurring nightmare that I was going to have Isis in the car on the way to the hospital. So I told her, I said, we need to sanitize the back of this car so it would be ready for us. But when I was laboring and my doula midwife was here, she said, hey, let me check you before we go to the hospital. And I was like, cool. And so she said, the baby right there. I was like, let's do this. You know, I don't know. And when I got to the hospital, one of the nurses was really nasty. Isis had sucked her hand once she broke like just the first layer of skin. And the woman, I just had a baby, and my yoni is on fire from the ring of fire. And she asked me, she said, what did you do to this baby? I could have took a bat and swung and knocked that woman out. But I had a moment where I said, reach into the human so we don't have to do this right now because I just had a baby. That's traumatizing enough. So I asked her, I said, so how long have you been nursing? So that kicked her over because I'm telling you, and Haru was right there with me. We was about to listen. Let me put that thing down. So another thing was the doctor. Now I was in a group of doctors with Henry Ford, and so the doctor that I was seeing wasn't the one that was present when I came in after I'd had the baby. And he said, what do you mean? What are you doing having this baby at home? I mean, he was going off. I just had the baby. You're going off. he kept saying, you know, you could have died, or blah 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 blah. And I asked him, I said, and how many have you lost on the table? And he shut the
Mm,
hell up. He shut
Mm.
the hell up. And then another thing, I'm getting examined, and he's got me in the stirrups, and I said I'm uncomfortable. I had to say it to him 3 or 4 times. He just was not listening to me. Who are we here to take care of? You know, am I here to make sure you feeling okay? Because I had a baby. You know, I'm not here
mm-hmm.
to fund your college tuition for your children. Because even when I left, this is part of the trauma. I made sure that my bill was half because I had the baby at home. Don't charge me full price for no pregnant, no baby, no birth when I had it at home.
You
Because the
ain't
woman,
playing.
the nurse also was opening up all the things, and her assistant, I guess the intern, was in there with her. And when she came out of the little room, there's a little room in the birthing room with all the tools, you know, with all the metal and silver gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
So she was starting to tear open stuff. So because the curtain was open, Haru just peeped in. We both peeking like, "What you doing?" And she was ripping the stuff. We said we don't need that. We already had and this same nurse, what are you doing in here? She got her back turned to us. I don't know who blasted you out before we got there, but this is not the time of the people, and that all of that was traumatizing for me. That I had to
No.
explain that you're gonna ask me what did I do to my baby. I just had I want man, I'm telling you, I was livid, but I had to check. I don't know who came. I guess the ancestors came in and was like, girl, you better calm down because I could die just from the
The
passion
stress.
and the yeah,
Stress.
thank you, Bob. From the stress of just those questions that they were asking me. You know, how dare you?
Listen.
Because the doctor didn't get up off of me until I told him, I said, God told me to have my baby at home. He shut the hell up then. I bet you he shut up.
J-
But all just the conversations were traumatizing. Or when you're pregnant and you're not pregnant anymore, how the when you go to the doctor to go get your visit after they find out, oh my God, they looking at you like you a leper. They looking at you like this. That
Listen.
that treatment is horrifying. And then they give you this book. I forget the name of the book. After, when you have a miscarriage, that book I couldn't relate to none. I didn't feel no connection to none of that. In none of that, nothing. These people, it's something. It's really a trip. How the healthcare, I call it death care. To those of you who they've helped, I love you and everything, but they about death and experimentation. They don't give. They don't. I'm not going to
Oh,
say they. A lot of them don't give a hoot about people. They take a
once
old, huh?
once again, head, it's all about. Remember how I said it's a business.
Oh
I've
yeah,
noticed it. I noticed it. So when I had my miscarriage, I miscarried at Beaumont and Royal Oak. Hospitals are like, think of them as like restaurants. Okay, the inner
yeah.
city ones are totally different than the ones outside in the suburbs, and
Right.
you're treated totally different. And I'm like,
Uh,
totally different. I'm like, I had my miscarriage, and it was like, they were so accommodating and everything. I also had COVID at the same time too, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Um, so I felt like it wasn't personal. It was just like we had COVID at the same time. But they gave the support that they gave us afterwards, as far as um, what is it?
post, yeah,
Uh,
post.
uh, Post, like, mentally, there was a box that they gave us with information in it and stuff, trinkets for the baby and stuff like that, the resources as to what to do with the remains. I mean, it was a whole support system just for miscarriage, which I've never heard of before. And I was like, oh wow, this is different. When I talk to other people, they in the inner city, they say they never got anything like that. Oh, like what?
Okay,
Their support system? Uh, didn't know that they didn't know that exists, and I'm just like, wow, this is different. Once again, what people don't realize, you can shop your hospitals for not just pregnancy, for birth. You can shop
that's
your
true.
hospitals for surgery. You could shop. You don't have to go just where they say you're supposed to go. You could check out St. John's. If the St. John's are Henry Ford and Waterford, you got. We don't realize we got what is it?
Options. You got
Listen.
options.
Options.
Yeah.
We got options. We
Now
got
I
way more
went
options.
when I went to go in to get checked afterwards, I was in Bloomfield. I wasn't in no inner city, honey. I was in Bloomfield. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's all
I
beautiful and
mean,
fine, and beautiful, fine, and fluffy. And this was in 2001, so things may have changed.
So,
But what was another thing? Oh, when I did miscarry, I had two blighted ovums, which I read myself. I didn't get it from no doctor. I did the reading myself. They say that your eggs are older because I had ISIS at 36 and I got pregnant. I had two pregnancies 2 years right after her, and those babies never started. The pregnancy began. The womb prepared itself for birth. So I said that I had a little room for renting, but nobody needed to rent. I was cool with that. My miscarriage happened here in Henry Ford Hospital and whatever on the Boulevard main campus. Now I went in there and I didn't feel well. I kept passing out, couldn't keep myself together. And I remember something that my midwife told me. She said, if anything, after I had ISIS, she told me, flip the placenta inside out, check it for spaces. I'm doing this myself because we were at the house and not at the hospital. And so I'm checking the placenta for any spacing and things like that, she said, because that lets you know if there are any challenges with the baby. And she also told me that if I would have hemorrhaged during the childbirth process, that we need to eat some of the placenta. So I'm in the hospital. This is the miscarriage now. I'm in the hospital. It was me and Isis there. My mother ended up meeting us, but I'm in the back. And then my sister ended up coming to take care of the baby. But I'm in the back by myself, and I'm going through my mind. I said, listen, Het, remember what she told you if you kept bleeding. Because I don't know. I think I was having some hemorrhaging or whatever after the miscarriage. Well, during this process. So I did eat some of the placenta. I'm in there talking to myself. I was like, girl, you losing your mind, but we going to be conscious about this losing, okay? But, and then I asked the nurse, I said, please bring me a container with a lid. So she brought that. I put my fetus, I put the baby, I'm calling it a baby, bump all that. I put the baby inside of that. I told my sister, I said, give this to mama, tell her to put it in the freezer. I didn't tell neither one of them what it was because my mother would have been like, girl, what you doing? She would have been like, what you doing? So then the nurse comes in. I don't think she was paying attention to what I was doing, right? So the nurse comes in and said, Het, did you, not Het. She said, did you pass anything? And I said, yes. And so she was like, well, where is it? I said, I took care of it. Girl, the doctor came in. What do you mean? You took care of it. Where is it? Don't you want to know what happened? I mean, she was fired up because I guess she gonna be in trouble because she's lost this one. You understand what I'm saying? So she went off. She was fussy, and I said, I took care of it. I said, don't worry about what. Don't you want to know what happened? I said, God took care of my situation. I said, I'm okay with that. But one last thing is that, often I would ask the Bobby, he was away out of town when it happened. So I would ask him, how do you feel? Are we checking in with our men? Even though they're not carrying the babies, it's still a part of them. So I checked in with him and said, Bobby, because he was like, Het, do you want me to come home? I was like, no, I'm good. I just, let me just go through this. You trying to come home and me thinking about you on the road, that's not going to help me at all. I don't need nothing else to think about right now. I just want to focus on what's happening with my body. But I had a wonderful support system. I think also at the time because of I had a grandmother that my father's mother was not doing well, and I kind of after I had ISIS, I realized that somebody leaves for someone to come. So I thought if I kind of felt like if I had this baby, my grandmother was going to leave. Now, this was the one of the blighted ovums where the baby didn't start growing. I had that happen twice. So I was like, dang, was some of that me because I didn't want my grandmother to go. And that's why the baby didn't come. Because I don't call those miscarriages because the heartbeat never started. But I was asking myself, did you, keep that, baby from coming because you weren't ready to let go of your grandmother? So that was something that was on my mind, after I'd been through that. So that was something. But yeah, just the questions and conversations that you have to have, after you've had the pregnancy is not happening anymore. You feel like a booger, you know, just nobody. I don't know.
Not a
It's weird.
booger.
And
Yeah,
that was with the medical field.
I want, I
Not a
want to,
booger at.
I want to, I want to, I want to, I want to, like, I don't want this to, I want to share an experience I had, and the purpose, I want to probably remind myself the reason I'm sharing the experience is really to highlight, because what Hedge just shared, definitely, I can definitely relate to, but also it spoke to me about the importance of having the right team, even as a father like me, knowing, so my my fourth child was my first daughter. And we had this. I'm actually funny because I'm in Orlando now for the first time in 10 years, but this is where she was born. And we had I'm not from here, so I don't know the community. I don't know the midwives here, but we got here, we found a midwife. The midwife had it was a doula. She was a young girl. She was like 19, maybe 8. Matter of fact, I don't think she was even 19 because I think she was still in high school. But she wanted to be a doula, so she would show up at these midwife appointments we had. And what we didn't know at the time when we found the midwife is that in the state of Florida at that time, I don't know if it's the same now, in order to be a midwife in the state of Florida, you have to come in under a doctor. So our midwife, and this was a curveball, right? We go through the whole pregnancy is probably the most peaceful and beautiful pregnancy that we've had as a family. Like, it's just everything smooth. There's no drama, no tension. The baby is acclimating to the mama's body, and everything's great. And then we go to our midwife. We reach our due date. Due date passes, about a week goes past the due date, and the midwife tells us, so if you guys don't have this baby in the next 7 days, we're gonna have to induce. Now, we didn't see, this is the first time she mentioned this to us. So now all of a sudden we got 7 days and we're trying to induce a labor the baby's not ready. The baby's not trying to come. The baby's not any interest in coming. Baby and mommy are both happy, but they're like, if you don't start pushing right now, if the baby don't come in the next 7 days, we're going to induce. And that's when we find out that the doctor that our midwife was under is the king of C-sections in Orlando. So that's like, wow. So we're like, okay, we're doing everything, all the tricks to try to induce. We're doing all of them. And finally, like on like the 5th or 6th day, she goes into labor. The midwife comes to our house, and we're in labor. We are there for, if I'm not mistaken, we're there for about 16 hours. And at this point, this is my 4th child, so I'm a lot more engaged. I'm a lot more present. We have a birthing plan. We have things that we've worked on during this pregnancy, and I'm right there. The midwife is there, and she's kind of laid back, but what she tells me later is she saw how engaged I was, and she was like, that's how it's supposed to be. So she wasn't trying to override anything. At about 12 hours, the baby's not coming down, so they decide to break her water to try to see if that'll help the baby come down. Baby doesn't come down. So after about 6 hours, she says, our midwife says to us, I am no longer comfortable guiding you guys through this process. So if you guys are going to have this baby here at the home, you're going to have to do it without me. I'm recommending you go to the hospital. She just drops it on us like that. And we're like, oh shit. Like we have this vision of having this baby here, but now the midwife is telling us we're going to the hospital. Now, it's my 4th kid, so I'm more confident I was on the first one, but I'm not confident enough to have this baby here at this house with just us. This is her first child. So we say, okay, well, we're gonna go to the hospital. So we call the EMS. Before the EMS arrives, the midwife, matter of fact, as the EMS technicians are walking through the door, the midwife is walking out of the door.
Wow.
We don't see her again. The EMS technicians begin. This is where I didn't go head story. Immediately start asking us, why are you guys doing this here? Why wouldn't you guys go to a hospital? Like, started asking us questions in this moment. So, I had to, as the father, I had to pull him to the side and say, hey, we're in the middle of having a baby. If you'd like to have a conversation about the virtues of childbirth at home, we can, but now is not the time. Now we just need you to do your job and take us to the hospital.
Yeah.
We get to the hospital. It's Winnie Palmer Hospital down here in Orlando. Beautiful facility. But when we get in there, it's the same thing. So, our midwife is nowhere to be seen. We're in this hospital with all of the, we haven't seen many of these people during the pregnancy. And they're asking us, really condescending question. Well, did you guys do a beta test? Did you guys do a sugar test? And I'm explaining to them, man, this is not my first child. We did all of the tests, but we had a different birthing plan. Now the person who guided us through that plan is not there. She's not here. So now we're in this hospital. Every time they come in the room, they're telling us, get ready for a C-section, get ready for a C-section. And I'm trying to push back because I'm like, that wasn't really our vision. So we're kind of engaged in this really passive aggressive battle. Again, I got to pull the nurses out the room because I'm explaining to them, listen, you may not approve of our process, but now it's not that she's in labor. So whatever it is, if you got a question, if we can't answer the question because they were asking about what were the results of the sugar test, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're in the middle. I didn't memorize them. I know we took the tests. I know we took all of the, still did prenatal care. But I didn't have any of that stuff. So I'm in this room. I've already had to check. Had to check the EMS. I had to check the nurses. They still walking around with an attitude. And when I tell you one of the most beautiful moments that I've ever shared with another human being who's not in my family, this little girl who can't be more than 17, the doula, who to this point, I'm not even really paying attention to her. Like, I don't understand what a doula is. We got midwife. You're like extra. I'm not paying attention to you. But this little girl comes into this room and she's got our whole packet. She's got a whole file. And she starts running down, excuse my language, she starts running down shit. And she says, here goes their sugar test. Here goes their strep test. This is what they need. This is her blood. Like, she comes in and just shuts shit down. And now, luckily, at that time, there was a shift change, so we got a new nurse who was coming into the room at that time. And as a father, I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget. The girl's name is Katrina Spino. She's half Hispanic, but she's still in the the child birthing field. But that moment of her coming into the room and knowing what needed to be communicated to these people for them to shut the hell up and get off our back and allow us to keep, because we're already in a state of kind of trauma because we're not having the baby at home like we envisioned. So now we're in a place that we didn't plan on being. And she's still trying to push this baby out while the doctor is, well, we're going to have a cesarean. So we lucked up and we got a nurse who fought for us and we got to push up another like 12 hours, and eventually we did have a cesarean. But there's a certain breaking point, because ideally, like, yeah, you want to have the most natural, you want to have the best thing, but at a certain point as a parent, you just want your baby in your arms. Like, whatever we got to do for mama to be healthy and baby to be healthy, let's just get through this. But the process of being there in that room, again, I can never shout out enough all the doulas and midwives we have in the city of Detroit. Support them. That's in your best interest, but support them. If you are connected to any policymakers who has to do with them being paid money for the work that they do for the public, for our community, that needs to happen. But I just can't, it was very traumatic and it was very stressful when we were going through it. But I'm, again, incredibly grateful that there was somebody there who was able to step up and be a buffer between what we know to be a system that is not necessarily in our best interest and us and our family and our children and our baby. So we were able to welcome our baby, and it ended up being peaceful. And I'm so grateful for it. Obviously, I'm very happy with the kid. I wouldn't turn her back in. She's a very good daughter. But the process, the doula being there was like, I just got back to Orlando. I'm gonna be down for a month. I'm looking for this girl because I'm like,
I know.
Every time I see my daughter, I'm like, that moment.
Yeah.
It's important to be there as a father, as a team, but those who do the work for our families, that they're not your family, but you understand that life is being created and it has to be honored and it has to be protected. And, you know, so I, again, shout out to all the doulas, you know what I'm saying, in the city of
Yeah.
Detroit, because y'all do, you know, y'all bring these babies in. Y'all bring these babies in. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful. As a father, I'm grateful. Because, you know,
Yes.
y'all do that.
You know, thank you for
Thank
sharing
you for
that,
sharing and being
Prostell. Good
vulnerable like
Lord.
that. Appreciate it. Transparent.
Nah, it's real. That was Taylor. That was Taylor Ray.
I
Being
know
anyway.
one thing, the doctor that I was seeing, I noticed that one time I was going to an appointment. I always saw my doula before I went to the doctor, so I was real bossy when I went in to my visits. But my cousin was coming out when I was going in. And so he was working on with her too for her pregnancy. But I asked my doctor's nurse, and it was a sister. We was always tight. I said, "Does he do a lot of C-sections?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Then because I watched Martin Lawrence some time ago, and I always said I was gonna have my baby like Martin. When Martin had Gina's friend's baby shower, and that baby shot across the room, I always said I was gonna have my baby like that. I told Isis when I found out I was pregnant. I told Isis, I said, "Look, this is how it's going down." Because we had her, and she came out in 3 pushes. It would have been one, okay? It would have been one. It would have been one. But you got, I mean, the mentals that just like there's trauma, there's also, it's a being inside of you. So the things that you use to help yourself get through life, you could use and pour that all into that energy that's being growing inside of you. I wasn't
Yes,
thinking
ma'am.
about no names. I ain't care about no names. I'm making what somebody say. I'm in here making fingernails. I'm making toes and bottoms and eyes. I ain't got time for no letters up in here. I ain't thinking about all
That's
that.
right.
Let
So
me
let
make
me
some
ask you
babies.
this, Head. You said there was a time when you had when the baby didn't come through, right?
Mhm.
What were some things that you did to heal your body and your mind from something like that?
Well, one of the main things I did was my first two I said, my body was ready if somebody was supposed to come. So I told myself those things. Also, before all of that, I had watched and witnessed women who had miscarriages, and I saw them almost lose their mind. I was working with women who were getting pregnant and not having the pregnancies, and I watched how it tore them down. And I told myself, I said, "Hey, we got to do if this happens." Because I wasn't even thinking about being pregnant when all of that was going on. And I just said, I just want to be able to do it in a different way. So that was, even before I had the moments, I thought that process, or I wanted to but I told myself, I said, I had, my body was ready if there was a baby coming. So that was how I got through the blighted ovums. The next one, I said, the actual miscarriage, I said, you know what? I said, everybody don't have the same time. And so I just walked through that journey. I said when I found out I was pregnant, we had been to Jamaica and came back. I was like, oh, I didn't even know we made no baby in Jamaica. Okay, but but I just kept telling myself. I said, you had those months. I said everybody's time period is different. So, and I loved and cared for, and you know my friends kept telling me what I used to tell them, because I had some friends that miscarried when I was pregnant with Isis. We were pregnant together, and I told them, I said, everyone is different. Don't let's not go down the same mental journey. I said everyone is different. Let's not say, well, this happened last time. Well, no, this is a different time, and I kept telling them that, and they were giving me that back, but I was like, no, but I'm feeling the same, man. So now I know what they're talking about, because I didn't before. But I just told myself that there's a time, some people live many years and some people have months or weeks or days. So that's what I told myself.
Mhm.
So
So giving yourself the mental picture of
yeah,
something, to giving yourself permission to create a mental picture of something else
yes,
and
yes,
not be attached to the outcome. Very, very
right,
important.
yes, yes.
Very important. And Danyelle, what are some what are some things that women can do to physically heal womb trauma?
Um, so take time and rest. That's first and foremost.
That's some good.
We live in a society where, well, we're just now starting to recognize that we can't work, 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week and expect it to be, you know, perfectly okay. I even recently found out from my partner that, you know, where he works, they offer 6 weeks of mental time off to get your mental together for whatever. And I'm just like, well, that's proactive. I'm like, damn, okay. With pay. I take that back, with pay. So it's like, we're slowly coming into it that people need rest and reprieve. Definitely go natural. Go as natural as you possibly can. That's the time to eat all the fresh fruits and vegetables and salads that you possibly can. Just nourish your body with water. If you can nourish your body with red raspberry, red clover, you know, tea, but more so than anything else, you know, working with Queen of Fluid is taking that time out to just give to you, be it sitting out in the sun, be it doing yoga, relaxing, putting in that self-care ritual that we always talking about. Your body needs that more
right now,
you know, more than ever. And when you actually start giving it the rest that she deserves, stuff starts coming out, you know, it starts pouring itself out. It may not feel good when it's coming out, but once it's out, it's like having to vomit. You know what I'm saying? That feeling of having the vomit is the worst. It's like, can you just hurry up and just get it over and done with? Mm-hmm. Because once all that toxicity is out, you feel a whole lot better. But sometimes when you're trying to hold stuff in, you know, your stomach hurt, or even the opposite way too. Your stomach is hurting, it's cramping, it's not feeling good. It's like, you just don't feel good. But once you release it, you feel a whole lot better. Go getting the therapies, getting the massage, dry brushing. You know, if sometimes getting that dry brushing, help them.
Oh man, that dry brushing.
The lymphatic system. Mm-hmm. Taking a bath, something as simple as taking a bath, and we like to get all pretty and spiritual and put the flowers in and essential oil. Sometimes you just got to go to basics. If it's Epsom salt and Florida water, and call it a day. You know, cleanse that and do it more. How can I say it? More than just once a blue moon. Sometimes you might need to do a spiritual bath 7 days a week, just to clear off all the energetic stuff, muck, whatever else is on you. Sometimes it might be 3 days a week. Sometimes you need to incorporate a spiritual bath and then turn around and have a ritual beauty bath. You know, it's like you got to cleanse, but you got to cleanse that stuff off of you energetically, and then add the beautify, the beautifying and everything like that. The biggest thing is just taking time. I'm so happy. When I had my miscarriage, I had two. What she said?
Interrupt for a second.
No. When you finish, I'll.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I had a wonderful support system. One of the things that I did is I put a post out on Facebook. I didn't know, because we don't talk about the miscarriages. We don't. We talk about the birth, but we don't talk about the loss of the miscarriage. And it opened up a conversation to a lot of sisters, you know, in my circle. They opened up about their miscarriage. And that helped me so much, because it felt like I wasn't alone. And then there was an outpour of women. I had somebody bring me a sunflower. I had people bring me fruit. All I really wanted that particular time, I wanted my mama's soul food. Nobody can cook like my mama. So didn't get the soul food per se. I did get soul food, but it wasn't close to having my mom's soul food. Just listening to your body. Your body will tell you exactly what you need. I need to sit out in the sun. I need to go and I need some water, or I need to eat things red. I need to eat things orange today. Okay, orange, bell pepper, oranges. It's really just taking a break. We're so quick to get back to life as normal. But just like, I guess, in this country, we get 6 weeks maternity leave. And other countries, you get like half a year, a whole year, 2 years after a birth to recover from having a birth. Take that 6 weeks to do you, to take care of you. Give yourself time to heal, because it's not a quick and easy thing to overcome. You know, like I said, you have your spiritual baths, you have your regular baths, you have the foods that you eat, the teas that you drink. If you feel like crying, cry, because it is a loss. It is a grief, you know. If you're like journaling, the biggest closure for me was being able to get my child's ashes and go to the river and honor my ancestors all the years that I go to Adasi. oh, that came into play when it came time to honor my ancestor. It was just me and my mate, and it was the most beautiful thing, to do, to get that release, to get that. Okay, this is not to say that it's over and done, because my child is an ancestor. Those ashes are now on my ancestor altar, and he's part of the ancestor team, to get things done. So, but that helped us, what is it, get through it, because like I said, it's not a closure. It's just a different way of looking at that. But any room trauma, any what is it? I'm gonna say rape, I'm gonna say molestation, I'm gonna say invasive surgeries, just everything that's just wrong. Giving yourself, recognizing that there's a trauma, and actually doing the healing work to heal, giving yourself the time to actually do the healing work is what's going to help you heal. And like I said, I can't sit here and say that it's going to take, 12 weeks or 6 months. I don't know. Everybody's different. Like Mama has said, everybody is different. But I do know, having the spirituality and having the knowledge of, mind, it's mind, body, and soul. It's all of it. Incorporating all of that helps you heal. And that's where the medical industry is kind of out of sight, because they just focus on the physical. They don't focus on the mental that people are going through while they're going through the physical. And they're definitely not touching the spiritual of what everybody is going through. And I'm going to just give you a little something as a quick one. When I was going through my miscarriage in the hospital, the day after everything happened, this is how I knew I was going to be all right. The number that was played, I don't know if it was the midday number or if it was the evening number, but it was a 3-digit. It was 777. And so when I saw that 777, I'm an initiated child of Yim and Ya. That's Yim and Ya right there. That's Mama right there saying, you know what, everything is going to be all right. When I saw that, because I had nothing to do but watch TV anyways. I don't watch TV, regular TV like that. But when you're in hospital, you have nothing else to do. When I saw that, I realized everything that's going to come down the pipeline, I'm going to be all right. And true enough, there was some ups and downs by the grace of God that happened in our April. The environment that we was in, we got out by June. Things got to be a little bit better. There was still grief going on. During that time, but things eventually did get better. So it's time. That's the biggest thing. It's time. I even took a study to see to get in the program for miscarriages. And out of the interview conversation, the person was like, I don't think you're a good fit for this. You sound like you got some pretty good tools going on. Like, they was asking me if I wanted to come and help them with the miscarriage study, because I understand how women can get into a deep depression. I never got into the depression, like, this is my last child. This is my last chance. Oh my God, woe is me. Because I know the female body. I know we can reproduce, you know what I'm saying? We can produce well into our 50s. My body releases an egg every single month. I'm celebrating my cycle right now. I'm like, I know when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So I'm not going to stress like, oh my God, woe is me. This is the end all be all. It's not. It didn't work itself out right now. What did Mama Ayaba call that? Those spirits? What is it? My child just wanted to experience, being carried. Necessarily didn't want to come through. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. Now it's time to just prepare for the next one. So having hope and prepare for the next one and be as healthy as possible as I can, so I can, go through that phase again. So, yeah.
Ashe. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so we're gonna Queen Aduni and then Mama Hawa.
My question is, Danyelle, and anyone else, how does I'm just thinking about the importance of the yoni, doing the yoni steams right after childbirth, what do you call it, miscarriage, and what kind of herbs would help that situation?
I always.
When it's a baby, of course, you're real big and stuff, and then of course a miscarriage wouldn't be as large, the stretching of the womb. But what kind of herbs would you use, and would there be like a one time or a series that they need to go through to help to cleanse and rejuvenate the the womb?
It would
So
depend
this was
on
my.
their.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. It would depend on the reason for their miscarriage and anything that went on during their birth. So you would have to know that information. But once you know that, I always prescribe at least waiting until your body has had its first mints after birth or after the miscarriage before trying to get a steam. Like, don't do it before then. That's just my recommendation. And then red raspberry leaf tea, or you can put it in the actual steam. Milk thistle is very good for it as well. And then that's on me, but you got several women on here that handle the business. So head Mama Hiwa and Danyelle.
When you come to the herbs, you don't necessarily have to have that yoni steam. Put it through your body. Your nettle, red raspberry, black cohorse. Make it in your teas, put it in your food. You're healing from the inside out. There's another one. What's that? Don Quai.
Don Quai, yes.
Quai, yeah. And red clover.
Yeah, red.
Yes.
Yeah, red clover's a good one. But I'm gonna jump off the subject just to say, because I hear all you talking and it just keep. I don't know. This is my, I guess, my meditative spiritual time. So little things keep jumping in and out. And if you have to go into these facilities, you have to be one up on the language. It's all about communication. I wrote down while I was listening to you talk, prepare, practice. You got 9 months to become that. Yes, you have your doula, but to become the knowledge of that doula as well. You have to go in the system, the doctors. They come with their little language. You have your language too. But see, you have to meet their language. You have to know what they're talking about to one up on them. Because I don't care how beautiful and elaborate the facility is. It's not the facility, it's those with that mindset that, yes, I have to be nice to this person, but they're feeding certain energies into you. But the thing is, when you go into the doors with knowledge, learn some medical terms, learn some terms that you will hear them say, learn some terms that, for me, I'm gonna just say this. I've been in the medical field since I was 15. I did volunteer work when my mother made me do volunteer work in the hospitals. I walked around and I just studied the people. I studied the language of the people and their attitudes and what they're taught. They're no better than the police. They have their system and their way. When I went to school in the hospital system, one thing they train us is not to give emotion, not to take it home with you, leave it at the door. You have to put on this certain cap to act a certain way. And so I'm just saying, when you can step in the door and you know a little bit about the system and you know a little bit about your rights, and it's not all about going in there with the aggressiveness and going in there with like, I know. You humble yourself because they think you coming the other way. But when you humble yourself, and then you will say, well, what about the crowning of the da-da-da-da-da? They'd be like, they will give you your respect. I've had doctors to talk at me, not to me. I shut them down and I say, excuse me. I said, for one thing, I had surgery last year. And before I had the surgery, I had biopsy. Before that, I had lab work. But what they did was they would call me with the results. They wouldn't talk to me. It's almost like they were reading a book and didn't hear what I had to say. And so I stopped them. I said, excuse me. I said, number one, slow up. I said, don't dictate to me. I said, don't talk at me. We're talking. So I just say that when you have to go in the system, you have to know their game. You have to, again, 9 months to become that doctor, that nurse, that practitioner. Not to say to know it all, but know a little something, because you know what you're dealing with. You have to put on your armor when you go into battle. When you step out and you go into battle, and you go into action, and you're watching for their reaction. The thing is to know. This is what you got to take care of. This is like heal thyself. And not only just talking about the care for ourselves, the care to get to that point. Like I like how somebody was saying that, they the placenta, and they don't want to give that up because that's part of their science.
They make so much money off of the placenta because they use it in shampoos and conditioners and facial stuff.
Right,
So they make
but we don't know that. But to know that, when my granddaughter was being born, and I was there, and my son, he was there and present as well. I stood right there, and the nurse had to look up at me, and she just say, "Oh, you know some things." I said, "Oh, you know some things too." So that means like get on your job. But when the placenta came out, I looked at it, and everybody is, "You want to look at that?" And it's like I'm doing my job. I looked at it, and I just made a comment how I said the Mexicans asked for their placenta, and I said, "Well, what do you want that for?" What they do with it is it's a spiritual ritual that they do. See, we lost this connection with all that.
Head said Isis placenta is at a mountain retreat somewhere. I buried my daughter's placenta too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but ask for it. That's like they want to hurry and cut the umbilical cord, and it's like, no. And the nurse looked at me, but she had to respect and honor what I was saying, because guess what? I knew what I was talking about. So when you go in the doors with a little knowledge and, what you doing? No, you go in you go into the facility like, if you don't know it, you fake it like you know it. That don't sound right. You play their game, but you play it better. They think they think that they are the supreme ones. You know that. Superior ones. We just have to go a step above them and let them know that we are the gods, when we are the true spiritual ones. And I'm telling you, if you have that essence about you when you have to step out into the world, you will honor and get your respect. I don't know if it took a long time for me, but I saw that shedding of respect. It's like, once you know who you are, then that's like Sankofa, going back to go forward. Once you know who you are and what you're dealing with, then you can walk in there like you're walking on water. How you say, my yacht, your feather is light, your heart is light, because you know. But I be jumping off the page, y'all get back to it.
Prostell, what did you want to share? Thank you, Mama.
Super incredible gratitude to everything Mama just said. Just to bear witness to what she's saying, though, because again, it was 20 years between my first pregnancy, my first delivery at a hospital, and my last. So I bear witness to, I remember when I was a young man, even when I was a young man, I knew, one time we were on our way, we had that first pregnancy was rough. So we were in and out of the hospital a lot. And I remember one time the doctor came in and they wanted to give her something. And I said, well, what are the side effects? And his response was,
yes.
But listen, this is 99. So this is 99 at Henry Ford. No shade, but shade. But so this is at Henry Ford. His response was nothing. His response was, there are no side effects. Now, if you know a little bit, they haven't invented a drug that doesn't have a side effect.
Everything has a side effect.
I asked the doctor, I said, well, can you get me the printout? He didn't even respond. He just stormed out the room. In other words, he knew, okay.
He gotta give it to you. You asked.
Yeah, he got to give it to me, and I done caught you on a lie, but that's not what I was about to say. I was going to say the placenta part, because when we eventually got to, again, 8 births, we kind of developed the rhythm. So we were taking the placenta. Now, not the triplets, but the birth before that, we unfortunately, life is life. I'll never pretend I'm perfect. We were not in a great space in terms of my relationship with my co-parent. So when I came into this birthing room, they knew it. And it was my first time being in that position. It was my first time coming into that room without a birthing plan, coming into that room without them understanding that she and I are on the same page, and I speak for her, and I'm here to protect her. And it was the first time that they kind of saw, like, okay, we just got to keep her happy. He just here. And we took the placenta every single time. We asked, hey, can you take the placenta? They put it in, they put in that little tub for us. We would take it home and do whatever we did with it. This time I asked for the placenta, and she told me, oh no, we don't do that.
They will say that. They will say that. They'll try it.
Yeah.
And
for me as a father, I knew it was a failure on my part, because she had already seen it. She already saw, because ultimately that's the mother's the patient. So as soon as they know, they're really, I think somebody alluded to it before, they're looking for that opportunity to cut you as the father. If you don't have that plan, and you're not a part of that plan, and you haven't done what's necessary to secure her and say, hey, listen, whatever's happened with us personally, we got to come here and deliver this baby
9
inside
months
this
to
space.
prepare. There you go. You got your 9 months to prepare.
At least.
Practice, and ask the questions. Like you said, ask the questions.
Yeah, but that was the one I failed on, because they knew the minute she said that, not only was she saying no to the placenta, she was making a statement to me that I don't have to do what you say, I just got to do what she says.
Mm-hmm. And like sister said, you can shop around. You don't like what this person's saying, definitely. The doctor wouldn't give you what you want. It's like, excuse me, can I speak to? It's always somebody over him.
But making sure that we're on the same page before we even come to them. You know what I mean? True. Like we made this.
You're preparing to go into this encounter. How are we going to go into it apart or together? You're fighting a force for this life.
Yes. Yes. And that was, that was a hard lesson, but it let me know, like, that's, I never wanted to go through that version of birth again. Cause they just, they just took you, whatever stake you got. They're like, well, you don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So
let me
ask
tough lesson. I love the fact that you all are sharing your stories and you being transparent. So I appreciate that. Continue doing that. Before we close out, because we are getting towards the end of the podcast, I want to find out from each one of you, from everyone here, what is it that you, maybe there's something that you learned in this conversation that you didn't know before, so definitely share that. But B, what I heard in summing up everything, what everyone was saying, because the conversation had a popcorn effect today, which I love and it's cool with me. But to sum it all together into the theme, a man being present, being available, being protective of what the woman needs and what she wants, him being in touch with his own understanding of the situation. That's what I got from this conversation as a whole, because childbirth is only one form of trauma to a woman's womb. You got 1,000,001 other things, that you can apply these principles to. So I want to make sure that everyone walks away with something that they need. So in doing that, what I heard, and you tell us with everyone, I want you to share what you heard, but what I heard is a man being present and being available and being protective of the space so that we can birth or we can create or whatever we need to do is one of the healthiest ways that we can heal trauma together. What say you?
Talk about it. Share it. I got that from Danyelle.
I say thank you.
Going into battle together.
Yes. Very important. Very important. I was so grateful to my children's fathers for that. Father for doing that. Always right there, made a huge difference. Even when we weren't getting along, made a huge difference. So being there, being present. Anybody else? Come on now, don't make me pick you. What did you get from today's conversation on how you can heal, or how women and men can work together to heal?
That's what Mama, what is it? Iowa said, prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you got 9 months to prepare, and there's a vast source of we got resources at the touch of a button, more so than we did 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's like prepare. Look at every aspect and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask these medical people, the doctors and everything, questions. And
even relationships, like make sure that, I think in 2022, we can all honestly say that walking into relationships with one another, especially if we're talking about intimate relationships, there's a great chance that there's going to be some unresolved healing, or in the process of healing something, or something that no one even knew was there. All of us in our own respective ways have experienced trauma. And I think just going into intimate relationships, not afraid to have the conversation at all, being willing to have the conversation when the time is appropriate. You don't want to go do that on the first date. You don't want to do that the first day of work. You don't want to walk in there and a lot of people do that. I've been single for a minute now, and honey, the trauma bonding is real. Okay. You will meet somebody and they will tell you, my dog died. And when my dog died, it felt so, I was hurt. And you just met this person. So the trauma bonding is real, especially in our community. But I think we should be willing at some point to have the conversations, to know that we have to have the conversations. You know what I'm saying?
The womb is the center. It's the center of the woman. Mm-hmm. It is the center to all this. So the thing is, when you say wound trauma, there's so many categories.
Yes, it is. That's why I want us to have
not just in
conversation.
You're right. Not just in relationships and pregnancy. It could be something generational that comes through. So the whole thing is how to heal this wound. Mm-hmm. Wednesday, we're on our second chakra, and it's beautiful how this come into sync.
Yes.
Because you want to heal this wound. Mm-hmm. So it's like we'll talk about the wound center. We'll talk about the chakra for that center, and see you Wednesday.
Also, I just want to piggyback on what you said, Mama Ira, is one thing that we're not doing in this generation, and I realize it, is we're not moving that sacral chakra enough. We're not dancing. And I'm not just talking about belly dancing. I'm just talking about dancing, period. We're not moving. We're not exercising. We're not bringing life to that. So a lot of the issues that go on there is because we're not moving.
That's right. That's right. Because if those that attended our podcast last Wednesday, the Queen got you up and she had you moving. So we got something for you.
All right, that's this Wednesday. Prostell, what you got?
I got a lot. I'm grateful for everything that we'll share on the line. Two things I would say quick is authority. First, authority, understanding that you have the authority when you come into these spaces, regardless of whose name's on the hospital or whose name they call themselves a doctor. You have the authority. So like Danyelle said, you have the authority to say, hey, you know what? This relationship is not working for me. I'm going to establish a relationship with another place because this is not how I want my child to experience life. And then the second thing in particular for the men, it reminds me of just how, leadership is about service. And it can be challenging to come into that space because, again, right or wrong, it's not a space that is just automatically for us sometimes. So we have to come in and understand our authority in that space, but our authority comes from our service to our co-parent, our service to our mate, hopefully our wife, or whoever it is that you have decided to create life with. But that's your authority. You're here to make sure that this process happens, and the doctors don't have more authority than you. Mm-hmm. Get on the same page with your partner, come into that space, because while she's going through what she's going through, it's an emotional, deep process. You got your job to stand there and be okay, we said we want to do this. We said we nope, we're not doing that. We're not taking this. They're gonna come in and try to poke and prod the baby. You have to remember, like, nope, we said we weren't gonna do this. Y'all can't take the baby out the room without me. You know what I'm saying? Whatever y'all need to do, I can do it in here. And you know, she's rested. She just did the light share, the physical part of the work, you know, spiritual, mental, everything. So you got, you know, your job is to show up, you know, and work that plan that you guys came up with together. So your presence, your absence there is not, oh boy, is it can't be overstated. You need it there, and you got to show up.
Absolutely. And we carry that over to the entire diaspora of trauma, like being present and available, finding one thing that we agree on that we can work towards. It don't have to be the whole enchilada.
Yeah, it's never gonna be the whole thing. Yeah.
That we can come together and work towards makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm.
I say.
I say. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us. Mama Queen Aduni has her hand up. Yes, Queen.
I would just like to ask that we able to continue on the trauma end at another time, because there are as you mature, that's one case where your body changes, and the trauma is dryness. Your trauma is not being able to have sex the way you used to have it. Your trauma is what's been taught to you about, you know, about your vagina, your womb, and ridding those things so that you can be free. The trauma is your mate being too big or too small and not being fulfilled. Your trauma of words being spoken to one another about how good you are or not good you are, or the body not responding. So now he has to take pills. And do you want, you know, all of that stuff, the trauma. So there's so many, I think somebody already said, there's so many facets of trauma, not just baby. Some people have and will never have a baby, but there are other things of what they think of what they have experienced from, like I said, from conversations, somebody saying, because words are very powerful, or the lack of compliments, all of that, you know, just so many things around trauma. And you know, especially as you get older, there are some things that people think you don't have, you're not having sex, or you're not doing this, you're not doing that, or the person thinks that they can't because of their age now. So there's a lot of mental things around that, around womb trauma. When you asked Prostell about if a man, you know, what do men think? And I immediately said, if somebody was to come and say, you know, to a brother about, I have all these womb traumas, I was like, run. Run, because you're about to deal with a whole bunch of emotional stuff.
The trauma bonding is real, honey. The trauma bonding is real.
Yeah, when you've had a hysterectomy and now you're not, you know, just the whole thing. So I'd like to, and especially if you could at some time at peace bring in a specialist, a gynecologist, or a specialist around sex. That we can have that conversation, spiritually, technically, physically.
Okay, I'm working on Dr. Rose down there at Bloom, up the street on Iron Street.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm working on her. So hopefully she will agree. Well, she already agreed to be on the show. Now I got to pin down when she can be on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody like her for sure. So does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Thank you, Queen, for sharing that.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Mama Hetheru, what is the goodness? Because I was not knowledgeable in the natural things when I had
the goodness. What's the goodness?
The goodness from the placenta not having them cut it, you said wait until.
What is the goodness?
Oh, you mean, I was
You
saying the
talking about
goodness
cutting the
is what's
cord.
flowing through the umbilical cord. That's what
Yeah,
I
Right,
was
the
talking
last
about.
little
right.
bit of juice.
The
Yeah, you
last
want to
little
keep that
juices.
until, that's why you want to keep
Yeah,
that until it stops beating.
right,
We let that roll till time.
Okay.
Mhm.
right.
Till it
So,
was,
so
till
when
it,
it's completely stopped pulsating,
that's right.
Yeah,
then you cut it,
Mhm.
but
yeah.
not before that. And these
Right.
are little things to watch for. It's just
Right.
the little things if somebody else is bringing you into the world and they
Right.
snipping and cutting.
Right.
This is
Because
surgery.
Yeah.
they want to get that essence. They want to get
The
that
Can
gold.
I,
actual,
That's
can
that
I,
gold.
go ahead, Prostell.
can I add to that? Also, having those conversations ahead of time with whatever, if you're going to go through a facility or midwife doula, having those conversations with them ahead of time so that it's understood that this is what we're looking to do. So that if there's any resistance,
Don't even
like
come
again,
at
we got, like you said, Mama, we got 9 months.
Prep
So if
and
I
prepare.
mention to you that I'm not trying to cut that umbilical cord right away, and you hesitate in any way, I'm already in my head like,
Educate
okay,
them.
well, this
You
ain't
know
it.
what?
This
You
ain't
know
the
what? They
place.
like
But
robots. You educate them with your knowledge.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
And
not,
they look,
but guys, not only that, have that written down on a piece of paper. Go in with a birth
yes,
plan.
take your note.
And just take and go in with like a 1-page birth plan. Don't go in there with 12 pages because they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. But get everything onto one page. You can even do it double-sided and have copies of it. Give copies to the administrator, give copies to the nurse, and you have your copy and make sure that it's followed through. Because if it's
Yeah.
not, you can actually go back after them. And the proper term when you go into the hospital or talk to them is called delayed cord cutting. It's called delayed cord cutting. You want to delay the cutting of the
There
cord.
you go. Use your language. It's all about language and communication.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose it. Right. You don't have to go in there with your manual and your
the manifesto,
yes. But you have it little, you just might have a little piece of paper that you look at. You don't have to pull it out in front of them,
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you prepare by having your notes. You have questions. They're in your head. We always think the doctors are the higher society, so we lessen
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. The doctors
Mm-hmm.
know. Hell, they don't know nothing. They go back and look
They
at the
don't know
desktop reference
nothing.
book.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Listen.
Each one got that book on their desk that's called the desktop reference. Big old red book.
Look,
They
they
get all
using
your
the internet
symptoms.
now, mama.
But also we can chart everything because remember these nurses are charting everything that you're
Take
doing
your notes too. That's right.
from how much liquid you're drinking, to how much food you're eating, and they're charting everything. So you have to make sure. Nowadays we have video, but make sure somehow on that note section on your phone you charting everything that they're doing too.
Yes.
They gonna chart you, you chart them.
Yes. So that's
So,
right. You
I
do
am
your
loving
homework.
the passion in this conversation.
But
I
No,
really
don't stop
am.
now.
I'm loving the passion. I'm loving the conviction that you all have. Hey,
I'm warmed
baby.
up. Hey, you got me started. I'm warmed up.
So we are at 10 a.m. We're a little bit past 10 a.m.
turn
So
back the hands of time.
we're close. But just to sum everything up, so we're all leaving on the same accord, work together, communicate, have the conversations that need to be had, have a plan, whatever that plan looks like to you in healing trauma and working together to do that. And we will continue the conversation next Monday. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Rose here. If not, then we will continue with another juicy topic on this subject. And we thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow we have, who's tomorrow?
There's those big eyes right there.
Mama Het tomorrow. Yes, honey. Yes.
And
Tuesday.
And Deetra and still keep Mama Razia in prayer.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Hi,
And Queen Mama Hawa, you're on Wednesday. And Queen Aduni is on Friday. Danny is on Friday. Yes. Mama Bay is on Thursday, right? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wheelie's on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
very good.
Queen of Yaba
Right.
Wednesday. Yes. Yes.
So say thank you to our wonderful guests. Thank you, Prostell, for joining us for this conversation. Ladies, say thank you.
Thank you, Prostell.
And I want to thank everyone who partake.
Yes.
Partook, it was right.
Yes. Has partaken in
I want to thank everybody who came out.
There we go. There we go. Say it like you mean it.
To either of the events that we had a wonderful time, an awesome time, and especially those who drove in or flew in or trained in. I took the train. You guys, if you didn't come yesterday, this sister, she prepared our meal extravaganza. I mean, I'm still talking about it. I'm trying to see how she can ship it to me. You know, make it. I'm telling y'all, you missed it. If you missed that, oh my God. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it was so delicious. And and then just to take us out, I want to share these that Mama oh, there you go.
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some pictures of.
Oh, y'all need to stop.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's my love. That's my heart. Beautiful.
I love we all sit the same. We all sit alike.
And we did not get a group picture. I don't know what happened. We were so caught up, but she got these pictures, which is beautiful. Look at this queen.
Nice one, Head.
Fold it up, man. Fold it up.
Yeah.
I love taking pictures. I love cropping them and doing things I love action pictures that don't look like you're teasing and posing, but look at how beautiful.
That's nice. Ow.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a great gathering. Yesterday was a great gathering. It was awesome. Yes, she is.
Finally doing that magic, baby. Doing that magic.
Oh, I'm telling you, that food is so good. She's the official cook. That's when I jumped on
Mama.
She started doing, I don't let you do this.
I'm lucky I had to go take care of some business. I'd have jumped on that too.
Yeah, and old Danny, Danny. Yeah.
And our shoes. Look at our shoes over there.
That's where they belong. You come in the door.
House felt so much like Big Mama house. Man, it felt so much like Big Mama house.
Hey, Juanita.
Yeah, she's looking great.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about energy.
Yeah, and then when she was doing it, then we made her, oh, now go slow. Go slow.
It again.
You can do a dance if you want to.
Then we started doing, all kind of music with it and all that kind of stuff. It was beautiful. I have that on tape, y'all, though.
Uh-oh.
There we go. What can you do? Yeah. I wanted to share that with you all.
That's on Mama Howard's page. I gotta be a friend. I gotta be a friend on it.
Yeah.
You come on and be a friend. But I just want to say thank you very much for hosting this. Thank you very much for opening up the path and the way of Elizabeth. And I'm here. I had family members they've been trying to scour in to see who's Elizabeth, and but we're becoming worldwide.
Yes. Thank you for opening your home for us. Thank you so much.
Yes, that was really sweet of you. I enjoyed myself.
All right, everybody give yourself some love and give the world some love. Prostell, come on, give yourself some love, man.
That's right. Thank you, brother.
You gotta get to the shouty. You gotta get them shouty. You gotta get them
still waking up.
Right, and give the world some love. And Prostell, thank you for just fitting in with us. You got that male thing going with being around all of us.
Grateful for being in the space. I learned something to enjoy myself every time. So thank you.
All right.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Great job, peace.
Everybody.